Good morning, everybody. My name is Matteo. I work at the Leibniz Supercomputing Centre, and I'm here to tell you about our experience in setting up our cloud service. This is the outline of my presentation, a few words of introduction on myself and on my institution. Then, our experience on, with OpenNebula, the problems that we had, the customization that we did to get around that, our next steps, and some personal experience as a conclusion. So I studied in Pavia, it's 40 kilometers south of Milan in Italy. I did my PhD and postdoc there. Then in 2011, I moved to Munich, where I was hired by the Leibniz Supercomputing Centre. It's part of the Bavarian Academy of Sciences and Humanities. It's based nearby Munich. So we mainly support the two universities there, the Ludwig Maximilian and the Technical University. At a regional level, we work with the State Library. We are part of the Gauss Center for Supercomputing. It's a German initiative for supercomputing, putting together the three national main sites. We are also part of PRAISE, the European HPC infrastructure, and we also contribute to the LRZ experiment. Well, we are providers of traditional IT services, email, web hosting, and so on. We also host high-performance systems. In particular, our machine is called SuperMOOC, and it's capable of delivering up to 6.8 petaflops per second. Okay, so far so good. Big machine, a lot of users. But what happens when they start to ask for something like, well, I want to use a particular OS. We provide only SUSE Linux Enterprise 11. Maybe they want to use Scientific Linux because they are running LCG stuff. Or maybe they want a specific software that is already packaged, maybe not as RPM, or it's delivered as a VM, as an image. Maybe they want to run or install a daemon, something that is not allowed by our policies. Maybe they want to use Hadoop, Cassandra, or whatever for big data, something that we do not provide yet as a platform. Or maybe they simply want to compute very fast and they don't have time to wait in the queue. Well, our answer to this kind of question is the LRZ compute cloud, which is based, of course, on OpenNebula. And well, this is a simplified version of our infrastructure, and you can already understand why we picked OpenNebula. Basically, it's installed on one node, the front end. It's a VM itself. It's running in another infrastructure. It's running in VMware, in high availability node. It's a 8-core machine with 32 gigs of RAM. That's enough at the moment. We use MySQL database as backend on another VM again. It's replicated. Then we have 80 worker nodes, 8 cores each, 96 gigs of RAM, /11, no particular needs. And at the bottom here we have the storage infrastructure. It's NAS, NetApp. We have one data store and up to 10 system stores to do some load balancing. It's up to 300 terabytes, but only more or less 1/3 is available to the users. The rest is used for snapshots, backup, and so on. Okay, now some of the problems that we had when we designed our offer. Well, the first one was network isolation of the VMs. So we are serving many users at the same time. They are grouped in projects, each project is, let's say, identified by a color in this picture. Well, of course, the VM belonging to the same project should be able to talk to each other. they should be able to go out to the campus network and then to the internet through a gateway. But crosstalks are not allowed, meaning that these guys should not be able to reach this or this. The reason is very simply, we want to avoid that malicious or faulty configuration cross the boundary of a group. So let's say that there is a DHCP server here. Well, this should not influence what's going on here. And at the same time, this guy should not be able to see what this is doing or what this is doing. There is an easy solution to that. It's subnetting. The thing is, we can't afford that because we don't know how many groups we have and how many VMs we have per group. So we cannot redesign the network each time via the group, because this has to be a self-service. So the user should simply come, check a flag, and then they have access. So what we did was to use a kind of private VLAN approach. First of all, well, OpenNebula is issuing simply MAC addresses, not IPs. And well, we use a couple of bytes in the MAC address to hard code to embed the group ID of the VM that is sending the packet. Then at the end, we do some filtering. We filter the traffic that is entering the VM. And in particular, we apply a mask. And we extract these 2 bytes from the source MAC address and from the destination MAC address. That is, we get the group ID of the source and the destination. And if these 2 numbers match, then the communication is allowed. Otherwise, it's simply dropped. So far, the theory. This is the real situation. So we have the VMs spread among the worker nodes. On each node, we have an OpenVswitch bridge bundling together the physical interface and the virtual NICs. And well, the OVS bridge is where the filtering that I described takes place. We just have to add a couple of rules when we attach the virtual NICs. We can't do the filtering at the VM level because we don't have control on that. This is user stuff. Another problem that we had was to ensure fair resource usage. And this is a matter of both capacity and time. Capacity means that we wanted to avoid that someone monopolizes the cluster. That was quite easy to cope with that. We apply quotas, resource limits. It's embedded in OpenNebula. No problem here. We can limit whatever we want. But I said that it's also a matter of time, meaning that we want to avoid that a user runs a VM forever just because it's free or because it's possible. And for this reason, we introduced a budget in CPU hours, which is kind of the natural choice for an HPC center. So basically, here we are limiting the lifetime of a VM. Though the user has a lot of freedom, they can pause the VM, then the counter stops, and so on. They can decide to use all their budget deploying big VMs or small VMs. So, well, this had to be integrated in Sunstone. So we created a new menu here on the left, and also a new panel on the dashboard. So when you log in, you see what's your budget, what is left. Yeah, so if you click on this menu, you see who is using the budget, what's the status, the usage, and so on. And of course, the administrator can set, modify, remove the budget for the groups. Sorry. Well, this had also to blend into the life cycle of the VM. So if the budget runs out, it doesn't show up as an error. It should be clear for the users what's going on. We use cron jobs and the one-act script to collect data to monitor. And then we use ACRs when the budget is over. so the users can submit new VMs, and well, they have to come back to us. They also receive, there are also email triggers, so at certain thresholds they receive reminders and so on. Another small thing, elastic IPs. So elastic IPs are about setting up a NAT, right? Well, we couldn't do that because we didn't have access to the router, but we had a pool of public IPs. So what we did was to modify the EC1 server so that an associate elastic IP operation means attach an interface with a public IP. Well, it's not really the same. The users have to do some more work because they have to adjust the routing of the VM. But I mean, at the end, the functionality is there. We have still some compatibility. Next steps. What we want to do next? Well, we want to redesign the budgeting, especially for billing. So far, the usage is free. We are offering this only to our universities. It will be free till the end of next year, but then we would like the users to pay a fee. And therefore, we would like to introduce a cost function that takes into account not only CPU hours, but also disk usage, RAM, IPs, and whatnot. Then we would like to monitor VMs for security flaws, in particular default passwords, something like that. We are interested in introducing new scheduling policies, in particular opportunistic scheduling. So we would like to give the possibility to the users to exceed their quota temporarily. But the VMs in excess are then undeployed or killed when another user comes in. Resource contribution, well, this should be a way to fund the cloud. So instead of buying credits or CPU hours or whatever, users could buy the hardware. It will be integrated into the cloud, and then they receive the corresponding amount of budget. And finally, we would also provide IPv6 connectivity to the VMs, something that it has been asked. And conclusions, some personal experience. Well, this is what our bosses thought we were going to do when we went to them saying, hey, we want to set up a cloud. Well, providing access to an infrastructure as a service is a bet. Is a bet on security. And this was their main concern. I mean, I can understand it. But we were able to well, convince them that we are not going to jeopardize our infrastructure. And yeah, we went live. We started operation beginning of March. Documentation, yeah, it takes a lot of time, an awful lot of time. But the thing is, we are dealing with users with a different background. Maybe they are not IT. So yeah, we have to describe things very well so that we avoid unnecessary noise, meaning tickets. So they shouldn't open a ticket because they don't know how to start a VM. Customization, yeah, more or less, it's the same. We did a lot of small customization in the interface. Well, we use Sunstone anyway. Especially, for example, replacing open text fields with drop-down menus, because we don't want a failed VM simply because someone didn't, I don't know, mistyped something. An example is the VNC. So when you set up the VNC and you want to change or you want to specify the key map, you have to write it, right? So a lot of people have an English keyboard and they put UK, while they should put GB. Well, libvirt refuses to start the VM, simply because of this stupid error, and we wanted to avoid it because we had quite some tickets saying, hey, the VM doesn't start. Why? And it was not clear. So we did this kind of small changes. Yeah, that's all.
Is there any question? Yeah.
I have a question actually. It's not really a question to you, but actually to the OpenNebula guys, because he has a really good point with the some input models. There's like a solid list of values that can be there, like EN, US. Why isn't that a drop-down menu instead of, or can that be changed?
Yeah, the problem with that is that you develop it and you see the values that could be part of a drop-down menu, and then you put it there, you test it, and you realize, oh, the newer version has 3 more values. And these values are valid for KVM, but not for SEN. And if you're using VMware, it's another different set of values, and okay, we'll do this later, and up to now.
Yeah.
So it's something we are aware of. It's something we want to change at some point. We want to, yeah, okay, let's sit down and do this properly. But he can do that for his infrastructure, and he knows the exact values he needs. And we need to find a way to maybe, I don't know, monitor what is installed, or find a nice way to do it. Because maybe you have an infrastructure with different hypervisor versions, or so it's kind of obvious, but then again, not really. So, but we are aware of it.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, we didn't make a fuss out of it. We didn't open a ticket. We understood well, it's something that is really bound to our thing. So, okay, we do it.
But in any way, we appreciate if you do this kind of customizations and you say, okay, this is obvious and you should have these drop-down values because these are the only ones that are valid input. You can submit that patches or open a back ticket or whatever. We appreciate that always. Any other questions? Okay, I have one for you. Oh, okay.
Hi. Have you set up OpenFlow rules to do the filtering? Or did you use EB tables or IP tables?
No, we use OpenFlow rules, yeah. OpenVswitch, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, no, I just wanted to comment that budgeting and having a monthly budget and consumption, it's something we have in our radar. It's a high priority. So you might be interested to get in the conversation once we open the conversation to the community.
The thing is, we started to implement this before you introduced the cost in the template.
Oh, even before that. Okay.
Yeah, we had to show our bosses that, well, we can do this, and that. The thing is, we are looking for something maybe a bit too complicated, but flexible. So we would like to use kind of a different cost for different resources, CPUs, RAM, and so on, which, well, it's not a cost, it's more or less a weight of the function, so that we have a lot of flexibility. It's not that we are going to change this weight every other day, because then it's confusing for the user. But, well, yeah, it's kind of a trigger that we can pull.
Great. I'm always amazed of the integrations you do before us. You come up with new features we have in the wish list.
Yeah.
So I think we're going to move on to the next talk. Thank you again.
Thanks.